It's time for Transport Line, the program that showcases the contributions of all modes of transportation to the socio-economic growth and development of our country, Africa, and the rest of the world. Transport Line is being beamed to you from the Center of Excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, and Africa's second largest economy, Lagos. I am Shina Elegbede. Glad to know that you are keeping us company. Already we are in the ember months, and I tell you that the prelude to it was really not palatable as regards transportation. On the international scene, the Gulf of Guinea, despite the lull we've experienced in terms of piracy, was almost broken by this gang of water armed robbers. They attacked a vessel flying Togolese flag. But thanks to Nimasa, through the Nigerian Navy, that was repelled. But the same cannot be said of the boat mishap in Sokoto and Zamfara states, where we lost some lives. We commiserate with them and their loved ones. On the road scene, that is road modes of transportation, accident on the Third Mainland Bridge, and of course, the Badagry, of course, the Lekki-Epe Expressway. These are signs that we must be very, very alert for the ember months. No, we are not leaving out the derailment, Abuja-Kaduna standard gauge. It's a good thing that all hands were on deck to see that the rescue team went and met global standard. Kudos to the Nigerian Railway Corporations and all those security agencies, NEMA, and the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau that also rallied to the point to do the needful. But then, on Transport Line today, we want to look at the matters arising as regards this derailment. I tell you, a few months ago, when Comrade Dr. Kayode Opaifa took charge of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Transport Line did warn that you should watch out for certain issues, especially security and safety of the rail corridors in Nigeria, be it standard gauge or the narrow gauge. So we want to do a post-mortem in respect of the committee set up by the Ministry of Transportation, by the Nigerian Safety and Investigation Bureau. We are going to look at what, call it the third eye of Transport Line, is going to look at. So I have with me on set a railway consultant who is a regular face on Transport Line, one of our most useful resource persons on Transport Line. I'm referring to Paul Indibe. Paul, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Paul, in the last 1 week or so, we've seen how we did rise to the occasion to see that, yes, Nigerian Railway Corporation, with the new leadership, is up and doing, and we're there to look at issues. So, how do you see this derailment, and what should be done now that we are still trying to get out of it?
Yeah, thank you. Well, accidents on the railway is usually not a very good scene, just like the one that we saw recently. But in most cases, I'm glad that various committees have been set up to investigate the causes for the accident. However, well, in normal situations, the accident investigation would not necessarily target at punishing. The essence is to determine the real cause or causes of the accident, both remote and immediate.
And prevent reoccurrence.
Correct. Now, where there are issues of negligence, then the punishment can then come in. So for this particular accident, it's a passenger train, which is also not common and of that magnitude. If it's a goods train, yes, but for passenger train, there are safety designs in passenger coaches that will not allow the extensive damage of the rolling stock, that's the coaches. However, this has happened, and well, committees have been set up and they're investigating, the accident. Let me stop so far.
Yeah, Paul, you see, committees has been set up, investigation is going on. But from the briefing given by the Managing Director of Nigeria Railway Corporation, that is Comrade Dr. Kayode Okpeifa, the incident happened at what you call the joints, the point of exchange. And he said, ideally, in modern climes, all these intersections are done electronically. But because of the present inadequacy of public electricity supply, we cannot do it electronically. It's being done manually. And you will recall that, in fact, we ran 2 episodes on this issue of roadmap for the new leadership of the Nigeria Railway Corporation. When the immediate past managing director left, there was an acting managing director, and immediately again, when Comrade Okpeifa came in, among the issues we raised was the issue of this manual exchange of signals and what have you. Yes, investigations are still on, but I think the way we are today, there are other issues, urgent issues, like we raised in those 2 episodes, that should be looked into. Instead of looking at how to improve our infrastructure, the present state of things. Because when we were growing up, with all respect to Comrade Okpeifa and the man who left, who was there for about 8 years, that was the railway we knew. Things were far, far better. There were gates at various level crossing. There were signal men who were there. Yes, standard gauge is there. Majority of the narrow gauge we have today are not, in fact, they are being vandalized on a regular basis. And we raised that issue too. So what really should be done? I think it's a clear call for us to really sit up and look at the issues of vandalization. Thank God, I recall that during the briefing, post-briefing, by Comrade Kayode Okpeifa, he said the issue of vandalization of a narrow gauge is an international syndicate and something should be done. What's your take?
Okay. First, on the accident. Okay. Well, on the public domain, the information out there was that he derailed in a section. What I mean a section is the space between one stopping station and another. And if the accident had taken place in a section, it's unlikely there will be facing points at the section. Facing points are usually laid at the station. It's the facing point that would direct the train or the rolling stock to whichever line it has to go. That is the facing point. When it's leaving that facing point, they call it trailing point. However, since the accident happened or was said to have happened in section, it's unlikely that there will be facing points at the section because there will be no connecting lines in the section. Having said that, that does not eliminate the fact that this accident would have taken place at the station. If it's at the station, it's at entrance or approach to the station. That's where we have facing points. But looking at the train derailing at the section, there could be a couple of things that they may, that might interest them. They can look at also the authorized speed for the section, the speed of the train, identify the point of mount of the wheel of the train or the coach, the face coach that derailed. They should be able to identify the face coach that derailed. the point of mount of the flange on the railhead and the point of drop. That will help them to actually determine the cause of the accident. Also, the speed, authorized speed for the section, the actual speed the train was doing at that point, and the other thing relating to also the manner of driving or movement of the train, whether there was snatching or braking or sudden incident that can bunch the coaches. If the coaches are bunched, it's expected that because it has springs, one may bunch up and then mount on the railhead and then cause the derailment. But looking at the intensity of the derailment, more detailed investigation has to be done. Now on the narrow gauge, looking at where the vandalization, you see, to actually sustain a railway, there should be a consistent investment on the railway system. It's not a one-off thing. And it has to cover all the sectors, both the track bed, the rolling stock, the signaling. And let me make a distinction here, the difference between communication and signaling. Communication is the arrangement you have to make for taking a train from one block station to the other. That is communication. But within the station or authorizing train movement in between lines, that's where we use signaling. And there are various models. Previously, they are using the manual one, the automatic block system, but they are semi-automatic block system and then the automatic block system. There are various models depending on the technology you are applying. So they are available. The critical thing is also to look into, the brief of the contractor that actually laid the track, whether these things are there. If they were there, what energy were put in place to power them, and whether those engine source or energy source is being utilized and functional. That is for where this accident happened. But for the current one they are developing, and for the one running like the Lagos line, like you said, it's a clarion call. They will look into both the signaling and the communication in place for other open lines. What I mean by open lines are runs that are running. And that will help us to actually mitigate occurrences of accidents.
Yes, we should do things that will really mitigate occurrences of accidents like you just pointed out. And that brings to mind the issue of as of today, 3 standard gauge lines, Abuja-Kaduna, Warri-Itakpe, Lagos-Ibadan. Of the 3, only Lagos-Ibadan is functional now. Warri-Itakpe is suspended. The recent accident of Abuja-Kaduna, that too is suspended, is being investigated. Lagos-Ibadan also brings to mind the issue of having safety and security devices along the rail corridor. Again, we helped and we emphasize that Lagos-Ibadan, that I'm very conversant with, personally I'm not comfortable within the Lagos Metropolis. From EBJ, Mobolaji at Johnson Station now, down to Alagbado, you have shanties, what have you, along the corridors. That should not be. And we should not wait, God forbid, to start lamenting when now incidents happen. Go to that corridor, you find all these ironmongers and what have you there, and nobody is doing anything. We should show us, devoid of ethnic, religious, of political sentiment, take action so that we get rid of all these unauthorized shanties along the rail corridors. We look at foreign films, and those who visited India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, you see that this is Nigeria, and this is 21st century. What should be done again? But we've said it again. Let's repeat ourselves. So that one day, one way or the other, a new man is there now. Yes. They will do something.
Well, having infiltrations on the track really can not only degrading the track bed, but can also lead to some accidents, either knocking somebody down or leaving even strong metal object on the track that
can derail it.
Exactly. So I agree that keeping the rail corridor free is of essence. But in the built-up areas, they are fenced. On this corridor, they are fenced, but often they pull down the fence. So there should be some security agencies scheduled to monitor and then take charge of ensuring that there are no infiltrations on the corridor. Since they have been barricaded, for the area that they have pulled them down, the railway management may, of course, rebuild them, but ensure that the track is always monitored. That's one. Two, if you increase the frequency, that's the line capacity of your track, there are unlikely to be these infiltrations on the track. So as railway is stepping up its rolling of its number of train schedules on that corridor, both goods and passenger, once activities are up, it will help to reduce some of these spaces. But that does not mean that the shanties are good to be there. Government will take measures to eliminate them and ensure that they do not resurge. It's of essence, and I agree, because in some locations you see a lot of degradation of the track on account of human waste and all that, and that will even in some areas inhibit the engineering people from looking deeply into the track, because they put the refuse on the track and all that. They help to degrade the track. I agree. And when it rains, it clogs both the culverts and the drainages, and that will also erode the track to some extent. I agree with that.
Yes, Paul, for emphasis sake, Agege, no, Ikeja, Agege, Fagba to Alagbadu is an eyesore. At times, the train will be coming. You find people cooking beside the rail track. And like, as if you are in Bangladesh or India, you find they don't care. And when accidents happen, we say, this is a disaster. It's not a disaster, because these are things that are avoidable. And government should do everything. That was why I said religious, ethnic, and political sentiment should be set aside and do the needful. Now, while we are treating these issue matters arising and what have you, we'll look at other issues. We talked about rolling stock and coaches. A few days ago, I think around 5 something or 6 something, I saw the train coach, workers train. And I tell you, I wasn't happy. The state of those coaches. I believe the Nigerian Railway Corporation should do something, whether it's weekend, to respray and rehabilitate those coaches. Again, we are in the 21st century. The British have gone. We are here. We should not be commuting, moving our people in such coaches. What's your take on this?
Well, of course, I will agree that the coaches, particularly on the narrow gauge, require refurbishment. Well, the onus is on the NRC to look into their census of coaches they have and see the coaches that they will use to replace the current services, withdraw the ones that are there and refurbish them. Or alternatively, they can incrementally refurbish by withdrawing 2 and refurbish and put back and have a timeline for refurbishment.
Yes.
But some of these things are also, they have their budget lines. So with the new man there, Dr. Kaido Pefa, I think he's settling down, and with this accident, which would have brought some distractions on his schedule, but as soon as this is over, I would expect that he will look into that and see how, for image sake, there should be some improvement on the aesthetics of the train, so that not just the outside but also the inside, and then increase the number of coaches and also the frequency, so that level of congestion on the train will actually come down. Having said that, we are looking at even you mentioned people cooking around.
Yes, three corridors when the train is moving.
Assuming this accident had happened on a built-up area, it would have resulted into casualties on the ground, not even inside the train, if there were people there. So based on this issue of accident, it's expected that, removal of, infiltrators on the track is of essence, so that should there be any accident like the one that happened in Abuja, you won't be able to knock people down as the coaches were capsizing and derailing. So that's an indication that, just for avoidance of doubt, the rail corridor should be free of people.
Yes, another issue which we raised in the last 2 episodes where we treated roadmap for Dr. Kelde Okpefa was for him to appeal to the Minister of Transportation, that is Senator Ali Kali, so that the people, that corporation should be properly funded. Yes, we need, look, of the 100% they make as revenue, 40% is only being given to them.
I think it's 60, 40.
No, 60 to, no, it's 60 to federal government. They put in the budget, they pay, okay, and they use 40 for
the agency
for run. But again, and of course, we should not talk about payment of loan from China. Federal government will look into that. It's not from the revenue being generated by the Nigerian Railway Corporation. Today, Warri Takpe is suspended. Abuja-Kaduna is off. Only Lagos, Ibadan. Effect on the railways revenue before we round up.
Well, there are obvious cases. Well, if not for the accident, the Abuja is making money.
Yes.
On the Tape, there was an incident that took place, and then renewal of the coaches for the rolling stock for the Tape line is also ongoing. As soon as I understand that as soon as that is done with, they will reinstate the running of the train. And for the one that is running, it's important that all eyes are there and safety measures are put in place to ensure that it runs in utmost safe environment.
Pauline Dibe, Railway Consultant. Thank you very much for always finding time to come on Transport Line to enlighten us. In fact, to strengthen our faith and commitment on using the rail mode of transportation. We appreciate you all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will keep on monitoring development on this particular issue and other issues surrounding the Nigerian Railway Corporation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Before we draw the curtain, as usual, please continue to empathize with your fellow human beings. Times are still hard. Be your brother's keeper. Compassion is the key word. Compassion is the key word. Render one form of assistance here and there, and again, your response to issues, even if you can't deliver, should be humane. Compassion is the key word. Be your brother's keeper. Till next time, bye-bye for now.